Hi, my name is Matt Packett. I am doing my presentation for international business on Nokia. One of the reasons I decided to pick Nokia because I'm pretty a big tech savvy guy. Also, the company is based out of Finland, and I am half Finnish, so it kind of has some interest in it as well. They rose to fame probably back in like the early 1990s with their mobile devices and continued their supremacy of mobile uh, phone technology into 2013 when they were first purchased by Microsoft. So at the beginning of the company, it was based in 1865. They were a wood pulp company in Finland. And then this continued on until the 1960s, where they purchased a rubber company, Finnish rubber company, and they signed a trading agreement with Soviet Union at that time in 1967. And then 1981, Nokia developed the world's first mobile phone network. That would be the start of pretty much their mobile empire. In the 80s, Nokia took off in the mobile world. Nokia purchased Nordic Mobile Telephones and launched again the world's first digital cellular satellite. This pretty much was like a big move when it came towards technology and mobile devices. But the then CEO, his name was Kari Kiramaro, thought it was more that mobile phones were more of a gimmick. It was not kind of it was more Hollywood-based, James Bond-based, gadget. But however, CEO Kiramaro committed suicide in 1987, and then the new CEO decided that he was going to go forth with the Nokia cell phones and started to develop the phones that that I should say grew up with in the 2000s, early 2000s. The first portable phone was called the Morbia Cityman 900, and then Gorbachev was one of the first ones to use it, and that's kind of how it gained its popularity throughout the world. They decided to then make them more public because the phones at that time were just used for military and government officials for them to contact with each other. And then the very first Nokia phone to go public, which was sold in the United States as well, was called the Nokia 1011. Was the first commercially sold phone in the world, cell phone in the world, I should say. When most people think of like cell phone companies, they automatically start thinking of like Apple and Samsung. I mean, Motorola was up there as well for a long time, just right there until Nokia decided to take the reins in the 90s, outbeating Motorola for the supremacy of the mobile world when it comes towards cellular use. And then Nokia, coming back from just the mills, the pulp mills in Finland, to then in the late 90s had over 50,000 employees worldwide, and sales revenues reached over 2 billion, making the company a $2.6 million profit. The innovators, the phones were some of the first ones to actually include cameras. They also had some of the some of the toughest built phones at the time. Also, some of the innovations were that they developed a 8-inch touchscreen pad, which was kind of like the predecessor to the iPad, which would later on, become one of Big Apple's flagships. When it came towards their marketing plans, they decided to make their phones as available to the public as possible. When they decided to do the cameras within the phones themselves, they started to realize that people are wanting to communicate in more than other ways than just by voice. They wanted to do videos, and so they're always innovating. They're always developing new ways to, to connect people, which is what they were driving for. But then in 2007, Apple decided to launch their iPhone, which was kind of like the undoing of Nokia. Nokia at that time didn't have any touchscreen phones. If you're aware what an iPhone is, they are full touchscreen. And from that point on, from 2007, Nokia, who was at the top of the game, was playing catch up from that point forward. Apple and Android were the teams to beat, and Nokia was having some trouble within their corporate office of, trying to come up with ways to actually, be an Apple killer. They weren't able to touch the iPhone. They did develop some touchscreens that were not up to par. Their operating systems were nowhere close to the iOS that Apple had and Android had. They just couldn't compete anymore. And when it came towards 2013, the then CEO, who used to work for Microsoft, offered the company up pretty much overnight to Microsoft in 2013, and Microsoft purchased Nokia for $7 billion. When it comes towards the conclusion of this, it's more of a company trying to, once they reach the top, they need to be able to maintain that position, and that's by innovation and realizing and taking on new technologies that are being presented to the world and realizing what the consumers really want, adapting to change and being able to, produce a product that will be able to solve those needs of those clients. This is my presentation. Thank you.